Hi, I'm Tyson.
I'm Colin.
I'm Ryan.
And I'm Adam.
And we're the Gamesmiths, and we're here to learn how to play Bones and Banners.
All right. So, got my rule book here. Bones and Banners. So what we have is a fantasy card battle game. Let me get to the exact description here. Bones and Banners is a fantasy field battle game played with dice and cards. Each player has a command of an army of unit of cards and needs to defend their allied lands and conquer enemy lands to be victorious. Players roll action dice together in a single dice pool and take turns choosing the dice that they need. The dice that are then used to activate units that will fight over land cards, and the winner of each land contest will earn gold and special abilities that they can activate at the end of each round. The first player to control lands with a total value of 1,000 gold is the winner. So we've already started the preparation here a little bit. Everyone has their deck. Everyone will have a matching deck of 8 different types of loyal soldiers, and you'll have 2 of each. You see the 8 different types here are represented on the back. Actually, we'll get in that. We'll just keep going through that. You have invade, defend, ambush, support, charge, flank, interrupt, and revive. And then each type of card can be played in a different way. So invades can be played on enemy lands. And so you'll see that indicated here by a red land, while as defend cards are played on friendly lands, so the card has a green land. Flanks can be played on an enemy land or unit, and interrupts can be played on an enemy unit. So things can be played on more than one, but you always have this on the back of the card as kind of reference. And the front of the card will reference it too. So the ambush here can be played on land or a unit, and then the front side says contest an enemy land or smite an enemy unit. So it shows enemy land, enemy unit. So it's a lot, but it's written everywhere, so it shouldn't be too hard to figure out. The next type of card that we have are land cards. Each player will have a land card in front of them at all times, and this represents the territory that's kind of being disputed. Everybody starts with a homeland that's worth 50 gold and has this kind of basic activity or ability to camp here, discard a unit card in your hand, and then draw a unit card from your army pile into your hand. And then the rest of them, the rest of the allied lands, so you'll have your allied land facing you, and then it says enemy land facing everyone else. So the one land that you have, so as far as I'm concerned, I have my one allied land, and then there are 3 enemy lands, and you guys all kind of have the same setup. The point of the game is to fight over these lands and eventually conquer them, and once you conquer them, you'll add them to your pile, show how much gold, earn that much gold towards your win condition. So now I'm at 250. I'm a quarter way to 1,000, which will win me the game. And now I have a new ability, camp here, to discard all units in my hand and then draw 2 unit cards from my army pile into my hand.
And can you use either ability or just one?
No, you only use one, and we'll get into that a little bit later.
Okay.
The next type of cards are keeps. Keeps are built on your turn and by essentially putting them on your land and then defending it for long enough for the keep to be built. Once the keep is built, it comes into your play here, and it gives you an ability that you can activate once per turn. So turn a magic or a horse die into a sword die when you take it from the dice pool. So pretty self-explanatory, and you can use that once per turn. You'll start with 2 of these in your hand, and you can get more throughout the game. These advisor cards you can buy throughout the game. They'll give you, they can be used at any time and just give you kind of one-time advantages. So this one protects any unit, which will essentially, if somebody tries to kill one of your units, you can play this, which will just kind of instantly, jump in and save the day. And those can be purchased throughout the game the same way as keeps. And we'll get to that in a second. So the basic way that the game works is you're going to start off with 2 keeps in your hand, and then you're going to draw 3 cards off your own deck. Everybody starts with the same deck, but we're going to mix in 6 random cards from this deck to kind of spice up everybody's deck and make sure that everybody has, slightly different decks, and we don't always know what everybody's going to play and everything like that. Your deck also has a shuffle your army pile or card at the bottom. And as you kind of get rid of cards, or as you kind of play the cards and resolve them, they'll end up getting tucked down at the bottom of your deck, and you'll just kind of keep playing through your deck until you hit the shuffle pile, at which point you'll shuffle, put this back on the pile, and run through your deck a second time. Talked about lands, talked a little bit about units. We'll talk about that a little bit more. And then keeps and advisors, cool. So during a round, essentially what you're going to do is, like I said, you draw 3 cards to start your turn. You actually have no hand limit for what it's worth. And
So
then,
you don't use all your cards in a round; they stay in your hand.
correct.
Okay.
But there is a limit, essentially, the number of cards you can play in a turn because they're all fueled by dice.
Right.
So hoarding gives you more options, but you can't necessarily gather all of your cards in your hand and then just say 90 cards, attack and win everything in one turn. You can still probably only play 3. So what'll happen then is we have our lands. If for some reason your land was taken or won by yourself or someone else, you'll then get another land to replace it. So everyone will always have one land in front of them every round. And then we are going to, whoever has the initiative, roll the entire pile of dice for everyone. And there's 3 in there per player. Then what we do is we will pick 1 die at a time from the dice pool. So we'll go around. I'll look at my hand. I have some defenders and some flankers and some ambushers. So I kind of I'm looking for swords and shields and horses and bows. I look out there, I see there's only 2 horses, so I'm going to take a horse. And then, everybody will go around the table and kind of take whatever else they need. One at a time, just kind of like that. I want one of those.
I didn't want that.
I don't care. So we have our 3 die there.
It's a good spread.
And everyone has their dice. And then now there's the building phase. So now if you'd like, you can take a keep out of your hand and put it underneath your land. If this land is not conquered by one of your enemies, so either you successfully defend it and you win it yourself, or there's a stalemate, or just nobody attacks it, then you will get this keep and you'll flip it over and it'll become part of your just abilities that you have to activate, essentially.
Can you put down 2 keeps at once, or just one?
No, just one at a time. So each time you may build a keep on your allied land.
And if somebody else attacks the land, then they get to keep
If they
their
win,
hand.
correct. If somebody else
not
attacks,
they don't get to build it.
no. And if somebody attacks and successfully takes your keep, so if they take this land as part of their spoils, they also get the keep. It'll just go to their hand, and then they'll have to figure out an opportunity to play it later themselves. So after if you want to, put your keep down, then the next thing that you do is go through in order on the initiative here: boots, then shields, then swords, then bows, then horses, then magic are your 6 options, and that's the order that they go. So next is boots. So I'd go, okay, who has any boots? Does anyone have any boots?
No.
Tyson has 1 boot. Colin, do you have any boots?
No.
Colin has no boots. So Tyson's the only one with a boot. He would get to play one of his cards with a boot. So essentially he would look at and get to spend his boot. So he'd play it face down, and it is an invader for boots. So he's going to have to attack somebody else's land. So he could say, come here, and say, you point the arrow at the thing you'd like to attack. So you're going to say, I'm going to attack this enemy land. And you're going to put a boot card, or just a
one,
boot. They have to be
right.
the same, yeah. So if you're going to double up, which you can do, they have to be the same. So you can put 2 boots on this, but not.
Right.
So
You don't
now
have to
is your
put both.
opportunity.
You can put one or the other of the
Correct.
symbols?
Correct.
Okay. I
So
thought you had to
just
have
a boot
both.
Yeah,
or
so
just
did I.
right. No, you just need the one. So you play it with at least one die. Then it would go to shields. My shield here. So then it would go to who has a shield, and I have
So when
one.
does this flip? Right now, just because it's been contested?
No, not until
Everyone
all of this
places
is done,
all
yeah.
the.
So
Do we get to
everyone
look at
plays
our
out-
own? So do I know
No.
what this is? Okay, so even mine's a mystery to me.
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah, as far as says, an allied land is put in front of each player unless they already have an allied land. And
I
then
hope
played
there's
face
penalty
down.
lands that.
To me, yeah. So then, building phase, dice activation phase.
You built
so
in
the
the
other
bod
thing
your
that you can
keep
do.
sinks.
So I'm going to say, since he's attacking me here, I'm going to play my
Well, we keep going in order, right?
defend.
Right.
Well,
But
the
he's
next
got
is
a
I'm sorry. The
shield,
next
and
is
he's got
shield,
initiative.
and I have shield.
I have one
and I
shield.
haven't.
Everybody has a
Everybody
shield,
has one
but he's
shield,
got
but I'm going.
initiative.
I'm the first player, so now we're just going to go in turn order. So then I would defend this with my shield. Tyson would get to spend his shield.
So I don't have a shield card, so what do I do?
So good question. One of the things you can do is two options. You can either bluff and say, okay, I am going to also attack over here. Or I'm sorry, you can't do that with the shield, but you can
Defend
say,
my
I'm
own
going to
land.
defend my own land. So you're going to say, I'm going to defend my own land. And you can bluff, essentially.
Mm-hmm.
So what you would do is you just put one down one of your cards. It's not a shield, so just put one down.
Okay.
And put the shield die on it. So I'm going to say, all right, this guy's going to defend this land. So now anybody who's thinking about attacking it might think twice because, Colin over here has an undefended land, let's say. So you can bluff. The other thing you can do with that die is you can purchase a keep or advisor card with it. So instead of bluffing, you would take the die and you would take an advisor card and put your die on that and say, I'm going to spend this die to purchase this advisor card.
Okay.
And then I'm going to, come here and I'm going to say, flank this guy, because flank is something that I can do on an enemy unit. So I'm going to do that with my horse to try and slow down Tyson's attack on me.
But that would only come during this phase after everybody else has
Because
done
now,
stuff, right?
because now I get to play my horse. So you think about it like the slow guys come in first, and we know that that guy's invading, and then this guy comes to defend, and then the guy on horse comes out of nowhere and flanks you, and can be like, I'm going to weaken you, or he could run in, charge in and attack a land out of nowhere.
What's the difference between charging a land or flanking a land?
They'll do different things. So you just look at your, look at the card itself. The card flank is just a move that can be used on
It's more
a
defensive.
land, on an
Right.
enemy land, and it will.
Right, but if you can already charge the land, why do you have to?
There are different. So you have different types of units. So this is a flank unit, which means he can contest an enemy land or duel an enemy unit. He's flank, and his targets are either an enemy land or an enemy unit. Whereas, do you have what was the other
Oh,
one?
he's an actual flank
As a charge,
card.
The
right?
Royal Knight charge guy.
Right.
If I
So as a charge.
okay, so I was just looking at these horses.
No.
So if I did this, if I flipped him over, he's a flank. But if I flipped him over because he's a horse, and I just said, well, he's attacking this land, and I put it on the charge, would it be considered a bluff?
Correct. Yes.
Because I called him a charge, not a flank, even though they're essentially the same thing.
Yeah, technically yes. That would
Okay.
be.
But
that
you
would
probably
be
let
a
me
bluff.
slide in the first round.
But then you lose that card.
Well, not
After we've
now.
asked
No.
that question.
Now we've made it very clear.
Well, okay.
Had you done that
Absolutely
without
not.
making it very clear that you couldn't do
Okay,
that? We
because
would've
that
allowed
could
it.
be confusing. So you
Right.
have to look at what this is.
Correct.
That's
So
a
you say, I'm going
flank,
to play
and
a
it has
flank,
match
and I'm going to
this.
pay for it with this. Right. And so then after everybody's played out all their stuff, and we'll just kind of say this is it. That's the sword. So you're going to also invade this land then, huh? Okay. So then we would flip over all of the cards. So anything that's contested, we're going to kind of just flip over all the cards. And we're going to, I'm sorry.
What if it's not contested? You don't flip that over?
Right. So if nothing's happening, it just sits there. But since you're defending that one, that would flip over because you're going to see it. So all of these, as long as something's happening there, essentially.
Yeah. Okay.
So if nothing's happening over here,
example, mine's not
Adam's, nothing's going to happen there. So then we all flip over are cards that we have there. And so I'm a loyal knight, and I'm going to try and defend this land, and then Tyson is going to try and invade it with the soldiers, and contest it with an archer, but that's a bluff. So since it's a bluff and it didn't match, it just is lost immediately. And anytime a card is lost, it goes into the kind of group discard pile, essentially. It's just gone, essentially, forever. So that was a bluff. It's gone. These two are, and then I have this guy, which is a flank, which is going to contest an enemy, or duel an enemy unit. So when enemy units, or when there's a duel, that's what we're going to have here. If the dueling unit has less banners than the other, it is sent to the lost pile unless protected or revived. So I'm going to duel this. I don't have it, so that it would Oh, and duel is done by, so whenever you are comparing units or fighting with units, it's done by comparing banners. So this one has 1 banner and this one has 2 banners, and then multiplying it by the number of die on the card. So if I were to spend 2 horse die on this card, then I would go 2 times 1. This is a power of 2, and this would be 1 times 2, also a power of 2. They would be a tie, which means they would both be put on the bottom of their owner's piles. If the attack unit has more banners, it stays in play. So if I had only done 1 die here, now this leaves, this one goes, and you get to stay here. Now, then we contest these 2. These are both 2 again. So this is a stalemate. So this land, since it wasn't actually conquered, I would get my keep. And I could build that for future turns.
100 gold.
But
You build
then-
that at the end of the turn, the keep?
Yes.
Okay.
But then we flip all this over. We see this is going to be a stalemate. We have 2 and 2. So the people that already have things here, leave them there. This stays in. Nothing happens on Adam. Here you're defending. No one's attacking. You would score that. You'd get 100 gold. And then Colin has the same thing going on. He'd score that and get 100 gold. And then we go, then technically we check to see if anybody wins. Anybody have 1,000? No, not yet. Okay. Then we move into the cleanup phase. Anybody whose lands were resolved like that, take these units and put them on the bottom of your army pile.
Under the shuffle card, too.
Yeah, underneath the shuffle card. So you're not going to get to play that particular unit again until you get to shuffle your deck again. If a land contest is a stalemate, with 2 players having the same number of banners present at the land, which is we have, all units of that land stay in play face up for the next round. All keeps under construction, like mine, then will be built. All keeps and advisors that were purchased this round will go into your hand. So this advisor that I purchased, I now get to draw and just use later. And then you can activate one of your controlled lands, which means now you can look. Adam and I still just have our homelands, so we can decide to camp here, to discard a unit from our hand, and then draw one from the army pile. Or, but then Tyson and Colin have the extra option of using the one that they did, like
Is
camp
discard
here
lost,
to draw
or
a
is
keep
it
pile from your hand.
This card's under your deck.
Under the
lost
deck.
is
Okay.
lost.
Lost is lost. And
And does it take precedence? So like, if I have a
no,
mind,
you can just pick. You pick which one
get
you
it.
want to use.
Okay.
So if you'd like to just discard and draw one, you can do that. Or you can, what is this? This lets you
Get a
draw a
keep
keep. So you can
card,
either
yeah.
decide to get one of the bad units in your hand for a unit you'd prefer, or you can draw a keep for free. So you pick one. So essentially your army gets to make camp for the night, and you get to choose your campsite from whatever
Yeah.
lands
card
that you
from
control.
top of your army
Okay.
pile?
And depending where you camp for that night, that's the bonus your army gets. And essentially it just keeps repeating like that. So now we'd move into the next phase. Everybody would draw 3 more cards off their own draw pile, and then Colin and Tyson would get new lands in front of them.
How do you draw one of those? I know
And
we
we
get
just
6 of them at the
repeat.
start, but how do we get another? Or is that it?
There are cards that will let you draw from the reinforcement pile. Yeah, there were some. I know there's some lands that let
Okay.
you do it.
Okay. But there's
Yeah,
not
there's
just a way like you get a keeper and advisor. There's not a
Well,
way
we're
you
each
get
getting
it
6, so
without a
there's
card
not going to be
telling
that many left.
It's
There
just a
are
big
some.
deck.
Well, yeah, no, there are some. I think part of it is, so you have variety in there, but there are cards that say that you can recruit cards from the army pile.
From your army pile, or is
Or
that
from
just
the
called
main one? I forget how they
the
phrase it
army
when
pile?
they.
Okay, we'll see it when it comes
Yeah.
up. That's fine.
But yeah, there are different ways to like I said, recruit cards from this to get new ones.
Okay,
or,
one more
or
question.
stuff. But yeah,
This is now contested.
Uh-huh.
Can I jump in now? I
Yep.
wasn't there before.
yeah. I mean, you are at it.
I'm behind,
It's
but-
hard. Yeah, it's hard to get much more than most cards only have 1 or 2 banners, so it's going to be harder for you to catch
Right, but
up.
if I can interrupt a couple of people and get my
Yeah,
guy
or you
in.
can flank someone, or you can try and smite his guy for some reason, or smite my guy.
Well, you
so
could
they're
play,
both enemy
you could play
soldiers.
one
so you're not
card
gonna be
with
able
like
to-
3 die on it for the same thing,
Right.
and then multiply your.
Well, my question is, could you do that now with this face-up card? Does this die stay there? And if I decide, oh well,
Can you
I
boost
want
That's a
to,
good question. What
I
happens
want
to the leftover die? Do they?
to buff
the die
all of
come
mine.
off. So it doesn't specify, but I think we can figure out. So the die come off.
Okay.
I would say no.
It
Well, they do.
loses-
They have to because we got to.
But can you keep boosting them? I believe the die comes
Or
off.
does it
Right, the
lose?
die-
Does it
but
lose
Can you-
the
can
buff?
you load them up?
Yeah,
If a land contest is a stalemate, say all units at that place stay face up for the next round. So I mean, the way I feel it should be played is they would just at that point kind of have their base banner.
They lose
their
the buff
base
for the
strength.
turn.
You
Or
can't.
do we have to remember that this guy's a 4 because I
Yeah.
played 2 dice on him?
I
when
feel like
played
they
him
lose
last?
it.
Or do they just now,
Right.
I have
'Cause it's like a
2, you have
surprise.
2,
If
and we're
the
going
die-
at it again.
if the die is lost, I think that you don't get anything. But say I choose to draft all boots in my turn, and I somehow get that. Can I
no.
ascribe all of my
Can you
boots
turn that
to
into a
turn this
6
into
later?
a 6?
No.
Okay.
Okay.
Because you're just.
Because it's
Yeah, you
face
just
say
have
that?
to use something
The,
else.
the
but you
rules
get
say the
but you
only
just
2
get
things you're
2.
allowed to do. When a player activates dice, they have the following 2 options. Activate a unit by playing a card face down and placing 1 or more dice of the same type on top of the card. The die should be placed in the circle matching the alleged unit type, while the golden arrow points at the thing that it is targeting. Or draw a card from the keep pile or advisor pile and place a die on top of that.
So,
So it's
do
just saying
these-
there are 2 ways you can place
don't
die,
these
which is on face
disappear?
down. No,
at the end of a thing?
not if there's a stalemate. Because this is a stalemate, so these 2 stay here.
Okay.
So then, the way that just read made it sound like if I'm going to put 2 arrows down, I have to do it at the same time.
Yes,
Right.
you
Yeah.
do. Yes.
So I
Yeah.
can't put down 1 arrow, then come back
Uh-uh.
and boost it again.
No.
But can I do a boot or a sword, then come back later with a shield?
Must be the same.
Because
have to be
they
the
happen
same.
in different.
They have to
So
be the
to
same.
boost it, they
type.
have to be the same.
Correct.
I can't boost it like this.
Correct.
Right.
Oh dang.
That's how this
I
reads.
believe so.
Yeah. And
Well,
that's
okay,
what it
so hold
said
on.
in other
Activate a unit by playing a card face down. Yeah, there's nothing here that says you have the option of playing a die on a card that's already on the table.
Okay.
They have to be played in conjunction with a card out of your hand
Sure.
or by drawing a keeper advisor.
Well, when it says activate, it says to me that this is the only phase at which you can
Correct.
boost it. It seems to me like it's kind of a first attack, kind of
Yeah,
an
so-
initiative, kind of a surprise attack type.
Yeah,
of
how
a
strong
thing.
were they when they showed up for the
Right.
battle? You didn't get stronger during the
Right.
battle.
Right, and it does it in phases that kind of, the footmen show up, then the archers show up, then
Yeah.
and it's the kind of the faster you can go, the later in priority you get.
That's how it happens in
Brave.
Braveheart every single
Right.
time. Every single battle. They send
Yeah.
in the troops and they shoot the arrows.
And then
And
they
the horses
send in the
come in.
And they
wizards.
send in the horses
Oh,
and
sorry,
then
that's
yeah,
not
that
part.
that's
Right.
a different.
And they're the Scottish So yeah, that's how you do that. And then I think that's it. So then we have things like smite. Smite essentially just destroys the creature or the unit that it's attacking. So if you there's an archer in here that will smite an opposing unit, and that here we go. Loyal archers smite an enemy unit. If you play that, it just kills it and sends it. Essentially, it's
Unless
lost
they're-
Unless you can protect.
unless it can be
teleported.
protected by a card like an advisor, protect any unit. So that would block that, and that would go to the void instead of the loyal soldiers. Or there are things like the loyal woodsman that can also protect it.
Okay.
Protecting units, just whatever card protects another card gets the fate that would have happened to that card, essentially. Then we resolve the land contests individually. Play with the most banners. There's a stalemate. All units stay face up for the next round. Yeah, and then we pass the initiative and roll and kind of just keep repeating it.
Okay.
So we keep putting out lands, fighting over them. The winner takes the land and can use its ability, and whoever gets 1,000 gold first wins. Does anyone have any questions?
No, I think
Yeah, I think I
asked all of mine.
understand.
Okay. Well, great. That's that, and we will see you in the game.